Though Greece and Rome may have inspired architectural admiration, the Qin Dynasty inspired awe of the kinds that bent spines and buried names. Qin Dynasty China gave us monumental architectural feats, like the Great Wall and Emperor Qin Shi Huang's colossal mausoleum, etched into history as lavish symbols of imperial power and opulent wealth. But beneath their mighty beams lies an overlooked and forgotten narrative. What became of the labourers whose toil and sacrifice brought these imperial projects to life? The workers who carried the yoke of Qin aspiration, who played an instrumental role in projections of Oriental might, yet their contributions remain largely forgotten, often censored by imperial loyalists or neglected in official narratives. This video asks, how did the use of forced labour influence architectural innovations in ancient China? And to what extent has this contribution been acknowledged historically? Today we'll uncover the impact of those who built the Great Wall and the Mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, unravelling how forced labour shaped advancements and why their recognition is still lacking. Unlike Roman chattel slavery, Qin Dynasty China utilized a more state-imposed corvée labor. Peasants at the bottom of the social pyramid were required to dedicate months each year to construct public works, often in exchange for tax removal. Under Emperor Qin Shi Huang, these systems were upscaled massively. Critics and political opponents were sentenced to imperial construction, joining the Zhangmin class of demoted or working peasants. These workers were stripped of rights, forming vast labor divisions under brutal conditions, facing crippling food shortages and punishment for exhaustion. Ancient historian Shima Quinn, in his Records of the Grand Historian, provides a graphic representation. He states, the emperor sent more than 700,000 men on a death march to build his grand mausoleum. Many died, and their bones never to be found. This is a rare admission of the human toll, though framed as a moral critique of tyranny and not a defense of the laborers themselves. Without their toil, the speed, ambition, and scale of these great works would have simply been impossible. Emperor Qin's vision for the Great Wall demanded innovation and permanence. To achieve this, hundreds of thousands of laborers, encompassing political prisoners, criminals, and peasants, were forcibly conscripted into punishing regimes under military supervision, often working under lethal conditions. This labor wasn't just construction, it fueled architectural innovation. The wall's design, with stone foundations tailored to local geography and beacon towers for rapid communication, was only feasible due to the sheer volume of human labor. Shima Quinn records the staggering sacrifice, stating, the emperor sent over 300,000 men to build on the wall, the dead numbered in the thousands each day, their bones littered the passes. This is reinforced by Patricia Ebre, who notes the rapid completion of Qin projects was made possible only by the state's tight control over human resources, relying on harsh conscription policies. This highlights how achievements stemmed from a system dependent on suffering. The brutality even sowed the seeds of rebellion. In 209 BCE, conscripts Chen Sang and Wu Gong, facing death for delayed progress, sparked the first major peasant revolt, directly exposing the fragility of a system reliant on enslaved manpower. Historian Mark Edward Lewis accounts, ultimately Emperor Qin's unrelenting cruelty and colossal vanity projects sparked the powder keg of rebellion. Thus, the Great Wall stands as a testament to state power built on suffering, a cost largely censored by Qin officials and rarely acknowledged historically. Driven by paranoia and death, Emperor Qin Shi Huang ordered the construction of his colossal mausoleum. Encompassing vast underground structures and the famous terracotta army, its grandeur showcased his authority, yet served as the embodiment of massive, unrelenting forced labor. According to historian Michael Lowe in The Dawn of the Yellow Earth, over 700,000 laborers, from artisans to peasants, were conscripted to years of subterranean hardship. Craftsmen sculpted 8,000 individualized terracotta figures, while the unskilled excavated deep passages and chambers. This demanded unprecedented specialization, mass production, and the coordination of an industrial scale. Shima Quinn offers chilling details, stating, the laborers dug through layers of groundwater. Once the tomb was completed, those who built it were sealed inside to ensure the secrets would never be revealed. Whilst dramatized, it exposes the exponential human toll. Ebre further writes, the mausoleum was not only a burial site, but a microcosm of Qin authority. Its creation reflects the enormous resources and ruthlessness of a tyrannical emperor. Innovation advances in subterranean engineering were groundbreaking, but inseparable from the exploitation that enabled them. Like the war, official narratives glorify the emperor's vision, downplaying the cost. These workers, entombed alive, remain nameless and forgotten, their bodies forming an invisible foundation of Qin innovation. The legacies of the Great War and Mausoleum have endured, carved brutally in history, yet imperial narratives, shrouded in the laborer's toil, glorify the emperor's vision. Their suffering remains a historical black hole. Ancient history, written by elites, focused on a moral commentary against tyranny, not the workers' experiences. Only in the modern age, through the work of archaeologists and revisionist historians, did the human cost begin to surface. Scholars like Patricia Ebrey now recontest historical inquiry to consider the lived experiences of the lower castes. Archaeological evidence, mass graves, and unmarked burial pits coupled with scientific techniques now validate the suffering Shima Qin alluded to, challenging the one-dimensional, glorified imperial legacy. The historical memory of China's early imperial architecture is deeply contentious. Imperial propaganda depicts national strength, while modern reevaluations reveal silent tombstones of forgotten laborers. Remembering them is an ethical duty. If history continues to remember only emperors, it risks perpetuating the very injustice that plagued the ancient world. The architectural legacy of Qin China stands not just as monuments of imperial ambition, but as a silent witness to the invisible labor that shaped them. Innovation was deeply ingrained with the state's ability to mobilize and control its population. The architectural legacy of Qin China stands not just as monuments of imperial ambition, but as a silent witness to the invisible labor that shaped them. Innovation in ancient China was deeply ingrained with the state's ability to mobilize and control its population. The sophistication we admire was a product of a regime valuing lavish displays of power over human lives. Ultimately, Qin architecture does not just reflect culture, it quietly writes it in stone, suffrage, and silence. For centuries, these laborers' stories have remained buried. Only recently have historians and archaeologists begun to unravel the human toll of these ancient wonders. Today, we must ask, at what cost was greatness achieved, and who was forgotten in its shadow? To remember the workers is to challenge how we define legacy, recognizing that both toil and technological innovation played key roles, ensuring those who built an empire's foundations are no longer censored or erased from memory.